So we're back again with another SUPboarder review, and we are looking at another cheap price point beginner iSUP inflatable paddleboard to get you into paddleboarding. This is from a new brand we haven't heard or seen any of their boards before. It's from Air Degree. This is the Air Degree 10.6. The specifications for this board, it's 32 inches wide, it's 5 inches thick, it weighs just over 10 kilograms when we weighed it, and it has a slot box fin system with 2 mini fins, and it retails at $599 as a full package with a board, paddle, pump and leash. So with so many inflatable paddleboards on the market right now, there really is so many boards to choose from as a buyer, and as a brand you've got to make a very good price point board, and it's got to be a good quality too. So really, let's have a look at this board and see what it's really made of, and does the cheap price point come across in the board's quality or not. So having a little overview look of this board, 10.6 long, 32 wide, 5 inches thick. It has enough volume for most paddlers to get into paddling for the first time, and it is a sort of really good benchmark size for beginner SUPs to do generally most paddling in sort of most conditions that you want to paddle in. This board is made with an internal core of drop stitch, and it's finished off with military grade PVC around the outer shell, making it airtight. Features on the board, starting up at the nose of the board, you've got a stainless steel D-ring up at the nose underneath for towing the board or securing it to a riverbank if you're having lunch. Moving back, then you've got your bungees up at the top there, which you find on most product iSUPs or around iSUPs now. Great for stashing flip-flops, drinks, dry bags if you want to go on a little journey. Moving back into the main part of the area, you've got this really cool looking EVA crocodile style deck pad. I have to say it's a pretty cool colorway, but I'm really biased, I like my green colors. But the finish of this deck pad is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. There isn't any glue, there's no sort of smudging or miscuts or anything. It's just spotless. So really good finish on the deck pad, and as I said, I really personally like the green. I think this board also is available in a yellow sort of combo as well, so if you're not sure of the green, make sure to check out the yellow combo. Has a central carry point in the middle there, pretty basic handle with a neoprene strap around it. Absolutely fine for carrying it maybe average distances, but not as comfy as some others on the market. Moving back to the board's tail of the board, obviously the EVA deck pad just ends just before the valve, and it's got a leashing point, and it comes with a coiled black leash, which is a comfy leash and actually well made. Underneath on the bottom of the board you have a small bit of nose rocker up the front there, which is great for just general paddling. The rest of the board is nice and flat towards the back of the tail and the fins, and the fin setup is finished off with 2 little mini PVC fins and a slot box connect sort of system at the back there. Really simple system that many other brands are using. It's definitely a system you have to be aware of and not have the kids running up and down the board on the beach, so slide the fin in and out for that. But the fin is nice and big, and it does make you track and glide in a straight line very easy. So moving on to our deflection test, which is where we measure the bend of the board. This is where we put it on a gap of 1.5 meters apart, and we put 75 kilograms of weight on the center of the board, and then we measure how much the board drops. This board was pumped up to 15 psi, which is the recommended psi pressure, and it dropped 26 millimeters, which is slightly higher but not too high, being a 5-inch thick board. Other boards on the market, top end boards, are around the sort of 12, and the cheaper end boards that we've seen are up around the sort of 30, 27 sort of thing. So a little bit, it's not the superest of stiffness, but bear in mind this was only pumped up to 15 psi at the recommended psi. So if you wanted to get it stiffer, you could probably pump it up to 18, 20 psi, and it will give you a bit more stiffness. So using the board and who's it best for on the water, well, as I said, it's a good size, being 10.6 long and 32 wide. Paddler weights from 50 up to about 95 kilos will be good weights to sit on this board. Really happy to paddle in most sort of sea states and water conditions and do most types of paddling. The length of 10.6 gives you a nice amount of glide, so it's easy to paddle, and as I said, with that large center fin it's very easy to track or go in a straight line, and being 32 wide offers you that good amount of width. Maybe if you're a heavier paddler, look at a slightly thicker board like a 6-inch thick board, but definitely, as I said, the sort of 50 to 90, 95 kilo paddlers, the 5-inch thick board is absolutely adequate for your weight. Let's move on to the accessories and what you get in your package for $329. Starting off with the smallest objects, you get a little free phone case, which is quite nice. It means you can stay safe, you can keep your phone with you all the times, and you can also use paddling apps like SUP and stuff like that. So that's a nice little thing to have. Moving on to the pump. Now the pump is a really neat little pump from a main brand. Bravo make pumps. They make pumps for all of the world's best paddleboards on the market, and this is a pump, probably one of the newest pumps from them. The nice thing about this pump, so obviously a sort of standard sort of features that you find on pumps these days, it's a two-way pump, so it pumps on the upstroke and on the downstroke, and then when it gets hard, because you'll find that pumping on the upstroke, it starts to load up your shoulders a bit, you can turn this nozzle at the top here, and then that will just pump on the downstroke, so making it easy. The good thing about that is because it's using double the cylinder, you pump up the board twice as quickly as using a one-way pump would be. So that's nice, built-in pressure gauge, all works well. It's sort of standard, we've seen this style pump before, but we haven't seen the foot pegs are foldable. So they fold up like that. So for when you're storing it, it's much smaller, because obviously when you're rolling your board around your foot pegs, if they're at that sort of position, you've got more air here. So this is a really nice little thing. They just fold up like that, and that's pretty neat. We've used this quite a few times and it's not been an issue or seemed weak in any way. And the handles as well, they come with screw-in sort of extension pieces for the handles. So then when you take those out and the foot pegs are in, you have a much smaller pump in overall size. I really like that feature, and from a traveling point of view, if you're maybe you guys, some of you are into sort of more advanced sort of touring SUPs and stuff, that sort of pump is a really neat pump to have in a small compact space, but gets a lot of air in. So really nice pump that. Yeah, and obviously it pumps up the board absolutely fine. The bag is also finished off in their green colour. It's got a bit for the pump at the front there, and it's sort of a lightweight, well-made bag. There isn't anything super fancy on it. There's a backpack here, which is fine, and it is padded around the shoulder straps. Hasn't got any wheels and hasn't got any padding behind the back there. Fits the board in absolutely fine, and it's fine for carrying it a few hundred meters and stuff from the beach. But you know, this is a cheap price point board. The bag is good for the price, so put it that way. But the bag's well made and I do like it, and it looks pretty cool as well, but again, it's green, so I'm a bit biased. Now the paddle. The paddle is a really interesting one because it's got a couple of things that are quite interesting. One, it's got this sort of funky handle top system, so you could hold it like that, or you could hold it like that, and it's sort of, I haven't worked out which one's the best actually. I've paddled it a few times, probably like that. I think I quite like that. It has a simple lever system that undoes there, and then that slides out, and it's got a track so that the shaft goes up and down and doesn't twist, because that's the most important thing when you have these sort of lever lock, cam lock sort of style attachments. Sometimes the paddle might twist inside the shaft, and then that's really quite annoying. So that can't do that. That's a really neat thing, and they've actually put a sort of channel in the front and the back, and there's measurements on there for the heights of the paddle as well. So you've got that. It's a 3-piece paddle, so obviously that goes in the bottom section, and it's got the same system. The really neat thing about this paddle is you can take the bottom section off, and you can take the top section off, and you can make a micro paddle for tiny people. Okay, the blade might be a little bit bigger, but that's another nice little feature to have, another little add-on to get the whole family paddleboarding. And that again is a very secure system. The blade, okay, it's a little bit basic and the shape isn't great, and it does scoop up a bit of water, but it is designed to get you into the sport for your first few paddles, and it definitely does do that, and it's very relatively lightweight and strong to use. So again, I like the paddle. Blade shape's not so superb, but it's what you would expect for a price point SUP like this. So looking at pros and cons and value for money. Well, pros is the finish of this board does not come across like a cheap board at all. It is very well finished, very well made, and I really like the colour scheme and the graphics and the way they've styled this board in general. Another really good pro, it comes with a 2-year warranty, which is pretty outstanding. And it's a really good shape and size to get most paddlers of the 50 to 95 kilos into paddling at the first time, and definitely get them into the paddling sport. And cons, as with any new brand that just comes onto the market, you can't find so much about them. Maybe that are not available in the shops, so you can't go and see them in the flesh. So time will tell with that. They're a brand new brand that's come out, but we are very impressed with the quality, and also talking about value for money. So this is a good price point SUP at $599 that has a complete package to get you on the water. I hope you found that SUPboarder review interesting and informative, and it's helped you in those sort of buying decisions. And definitely if you're looking at cheaper based iSUPs, there is a lot of choice out there, and the Air Degree does stand up pretty well in that cheap price point market. Remember, if you want to find out more about paddleboarding, check out SUPboardermag.com. We go over hundreds of techniques, hundreds of reviews from top end price points right down to the cheaper price points like this board. So check that out. But otherwise, we'll see you on SUPboarder or on YouTube. Thanks a lot.